MAGA Mike Johnson is facing a nightmare scenario right now of his and Donald Trump's own making. We are just about 2 weeks and a few days away from another potential government shutdown. If this sounds like deja vu, it's because the MAGA Republicans always bring us to the brink of there being a government shutdown, and MAGA Mike and Donald Trump are doing it again, and they're trying to blame the Democrats for it. You have the MAGA Republicans controlling the Senate, the House, and the White House, and they're blaming the Democrats. Let's be clear. The one kind of bright line where Democrats, I think, are saying we will absolutely not support any budget bill that does not continue to fund Affordable Care Act subsidies. It's something that we should all want, right? Well, MAGA Mike and the Republicans don't want to fund the Obamacare, also known as the Affordable Care Act subsidies that lots of people rely on to keep their premiums within a range that are affordable. Now, this is a different issue than the disastrous budget bill's gutting of Medicaid. That kicks in soon as well. But on October 1st, the Affordable Care Act plans that you and family members and others you know may be a part of are going to get exponentially more expensive. And Democrats are saying, well, why would we ever support something that's going to take away the health care from people? And Trump and MAGA Mike and the senators, MAGA Republican senators, are saying we want to take this away and then we want to blame it on the Democrats. Now, let me tell you what's really going on here. And again, this to me also shows you how negligent corporate news is being, because do you see them reporting on this? It's one of the, if not the biggest story taking place right now amongst many others, but this deserves real big focus. So what I think is going on as well is that the MAGA Republicans have seen the recent job numbers. They've seen the recent inflation numbers. They've seen a lot of the economic data coming in. They know we're in a stagflationary period right now. They know Trump's trade war against the world has brutally screwed America the way economists from across the country and the world were predicting was going to happen, the way former Vice President Kamala Harris predicted was going to happen as she debated Donald Trump. So what I think that Trump and MAGA Mike and the Republicans in the Senate want to do is, I believe they want to shut down the government. They control it, so they could choose shutdown or no shutdown. I believe they want to shut down the government, then blame the Democrats and say, oh, the Democrats destroyed the economy. Donald Trump was bringing in a golden age, but the Democrats screwed it up. That's what I think their plan is. So let me show you right here. This is MAGA Mike Johnson saying the ultimate question of whether or not there's going to be a government shutdown at the end of this month is in the hands of the Democrats. It's in the hands of the Democrats. You control all branches of government. What are you talking about? Watch MAGA Mike squirm like the little weasel he is. Play this clip.
House Republicans continue to work through regular order to fund the government for FY26, for the next fiscal year. We're working closely with the White House and the Senate to ensure we meet our deadlines, and Chairman Cole, Tom Cole of the Appropriators, continues to diligently work towards getting all 12 bills out of committee. And they're almost done with that. And as we get closer to the funding deadline, though, we recognize the shutdown chatter from the left is growing louder. Some of these people seem to enjoy this. It seems Democrats may take the path of maximum resistance and try to shut the government down. It's not surprising because they're struggling, because they don't really have a message or a leader, or their party registration is falling. Their approval ratings are in the low 20s, and they're about to elect a Marxist to be the mayor of New York City. They are desperately searching for a solution, and some in the party apparently think a government shutdown would be some sort of political advantage to them. It'd be what we all know is dangerous and harmful to millions of Americans, and that is not the answer. So I'm going to say this again, and I'm saying it in good faith. I've shared this with the Democrat leader in the House and other colleagues. If Democrats are willing to work with us, We have our sleeves rolled up, and we want to do this in good faith. We just have to think responsibly how to spend less money than we did last year. And if they're willing to do that, and it's incumbent upon all of us to do it with the high national debt, we're open to that. But the ultimate question of whether there's going to be a government shutdown at the end of the month is going to be up to congressional Democrats, and that's just the way it is.
By the way, in that same press conference that took place earlier in the week, MAGA Mike didn't realize that Israel had targeted Qatar, specifically Doha, the capital of Qatar, with a Air Force military strike in a residential area, killing relatives of potential Hamas members, but not hitting their target. And apparently they didn't tell the United States in advance until it was actually happening. That's what MAGA Mike was finding out for the first time during this press conference. And you'll see MAGA Mike kind of squirm again and then go, what does Donald want me to say? What does Donald want me to say? Donald, what do you want me to say? Watch him squirm. Play this clip.
Second question for anyone. As we were all driving and walking in here, Israel struck Qatar to take out Hamas leadership. I'm curious if any of you think that whoever survives there should be evicted from Qatar.
I don't know anything about that development. That's news to me. I've been a little busy the last couple hours, but we'll have to see how that plays out. I mean, look, I was in Israel myself a few weeks ago in early August. It's a very dangerous time there, and they have enemies encamped around them, and they're trying to bring that to a peace as well. But Hamas, by anybody who looks at this reasonably, and in my view, this is my personal view, that Hamas has to be eradicated. You've got to remove that threat on the immediate border, frankly, within the bounds of Israel.
Now, if you think this was deja vu with MAGA Mike Johnson forcing another potential government shutdown, you're like, didn't this happen in 2023? Didn't this happen in 2024? Didn't this happen? Yeah, it did. They do this every single time. But now, I think, as they control all the branches of government, I think that they really want to shut it down and then blame the Democrats because they know the economy is heading in a disastrous path anyway. And I think they want to use the economic chaos as another smokescreen for Trump to send the military into more blue states and to do more military invasions throughout the country. That's what fascists want. And by the way, if they hurt the economy more, then Trump could try to put more pressure on the Fed to lower interest rates. Well, now you got to bail us out. Now you got to bail us out. Just trying to help the rich is what's really going down there. So I was looking back and I said, we were on the brink of a shutdown in September 2023, right around this time. Yeah, like literally basically the same week, September 2023, MAGA Mike and the Democratic ranking member of the Budget Committee, Brendan Boyle, had the following exchange. Play this clip.
We do not desire a shutdown. I yield back to the gentleman.
Speaker, previous speaker just said that no Republican member wants a shutdown. I have the quotes right here, which I will submit for the record when I'm done. One House Republican said, let's shut it down. Another Republican colleague saying we shouldn't fear a government shutdown. Most Americans won't even miss it. And the leader of the Republican Party, the former president, saying, quote, unless you get everything, shut it down. Make no mistake about it. We are here because certain members on the other side of the aisle want a shutdown. They even said they want a shutdown. And why should we be surprised about that? Ever since I was in high school 30 years ago, we've had 5 government shutdowns. All 5 took place under House Republican leadership. When Democrats are in charge of the House, 0 government shutdowns during that same time period.
And then I was thinking, what happened in 2024? Basically this exact weekend or week in 2024, when I did a video on this, I went back. I played this clip. This is September 2024. So the first one was 2023, then 2024, and now I'm here in 2025 and doing it again. Here, play this clip.
Would you listen to Trump and let the government shut down? This bill's not going to pass, likely. There's over 10 Republicans that said they're going to vote against it. So, will you let the government shut down?
We'll see what happens with the bill. All right, we're on the field in the middle of the game. The quarterback's calling the play. We're going to run the play. I'm very confident. I know that all the Republicans believe in election security. We have some people who dislike CRs. You know what? I dislike continuing resolutions as well, right? But here's the problem, and everybody needs to remember, it is not the House. It is not the House majority. It is not House Republicans that put us in this situation.
As the mornings start to cool down, my coffee routine shifts. Cozy mugs in the crisp air, refreshing iced coffee in the afternoons. And no matter the season, Trade has me covered. They recommend beans I love, roast them to order, and deliver them right to my door. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the US with over 50 top roasters across the country. They even have a special cold brew collection with 15 roasters, so every glass comes out smooth and delicious. And the prices, on par with grocery store brands, but the quality is next level. Plus, every cup supports local roasters. It's a total win-win. I recently got a bag of Ethiopian coffee from a roaster called Necessary Coffee out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Medium roast, roasted to perfection with notes of fruit, brown sugar, and even a little citrus. It smelled incredible, tasted just as fresh, and I love seeing the roast date right on the bag. I'd show it to you, but I finished it very quickly. But I'm also super excited to dig into this new bag from Bird Rock Coffee in San Diego. Honestly, every single cup that I've had from Trade somehow tops the last. And here's the best part. Right now, Trade is offering our listeners a free bag of coffee with any subscription at drinktrade.com/Meidas. That's drinktrade.com/Meidas, MEIDAS, for a free bag of coffee with any subscription.
Now, as Jake Sherman, who does a good job reporting on what's going on day to day in Congress, as he said, GOP leaders needed to show funding progress this week, which they did not do. Whether they're going to do a short or longer term CR, continuing resolution, Johnson should want to avoid a lot of CR votes. Remember, they said, oh, we're not going to do continuing resolutions anymore. Well, the question becomes those Obamacare premium tax credits right there that are set to expire. It's just interesting, Jake Sherman puts it in a kind of a partisan perspective that Dems need to rally around their ask. Ours showed openness to extending Obamacare premium tax credits. Why is this even an open question? You're going to take away the Affordable Care Act credits? That's what Republicans want to do. And Democrats just say, nah, you got to keep on funding those tax credits. Don't let it expire. But Republicans don't even want to have negotiations with Democrats right now. This right here, from Democratic Senator Schatz from Hawaii. He talks about the importance of these ACA subsidies and how Trump and Republicans are willing to allow the subsidies to expire. Play this clip.
This is not a political talking point. This is actually about to happen for millions of Americans across the country. They're going to get a letter in the mail from their health insurance plan stating that their monthly premiums are going to go up by hundreds of dollars per month per person. And it'll be because Republicans, having just voted to kick 10 million people off of health care 2 months ago, are allowing the Affordable Care Act subsidies that made premiums cheaper to expire. American families all across the country will have an impossible choice to make. They don't have an extra couple $100. They really don't have that money. Tens of millions of Americans are going to be forced back into the period before the Affordable Care Act, where they'd look at their health care premiums and say, I just can't do it. I can't make my rent or my mortgage, pay my utilities, pay my grocery bills, pay for gas, pay for kids' tuition, pay for my parents, and pay for health care. A lot of you remember that time. And what's going to happen this fall is not a political challenge for Republicans. It is a real challenge for people across the country. Democrats are ready to work with anyone to restore health care for the millions of Americans who are about to get smacked in the face.
I think Senator Padilla, Democratic senator from my state of California, puts it nicely here as well. He goes, if there's a government shutdown, it's not because of the Democrats. Republicans control all branches of Congress. Play this clip.
Yeah, look, it's know full well we're only weeks away from the end of the fiscal year. But let me be clear. If there's a government shutdown, it's because Republicans have shut down the government. They're the ones in charge, right? It's a Republican in the White House, Republican majorities in both the House and the Senate. There is a way forward to avoid a government shutdown because, look, I know who gets hurt the most through a government shutdown, but all the indicators are that this is what Trump wants. And this is what Republicans want because they keep giving Trump everything that he wants. We're willing to negotiate in good faith a budget for the federal government for the next fiscal year and avoid a government shutdown. But it's really hard to do so when there's no trust, when there's no goodwill. Why would we say yes to a deal knowing full well that they'll be back in a matter of weeks and undo key elements of that proposal that Democrats care about? We saw it earlier in the year in the continuing resolution fight. We've seen it through the budget reconciliation process, the budget rescission process. We're not even at September 30th yet, and Trump is already demanding more pocket rescissions, which are legally dubious to begin with.
We heard a similar message from Senator Patty Murray. Play this clip.
We are 9 days into September, and it is past time for Democrats to start hearing from Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune. Let's remember, Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. They are quite literally in the driver's seat. And if Republican leadership, for whatever reason, decides to let the car go off the cliff, we know who will be held responsible.
We heard a similar message from Senator Cory Booker. Play this clip.
Are you willing to shut down the government to defend Democrats' priorities?
I'm willing to fight for Americans. A budget is a moral document. It reflects your priorities.
But will you shut down the government,
first 8,
Senator?
9 months,
will you shut down the government over it?
The government, if there's a government shutdown, the Republicans control the White House and they control Congress. It'll be them that shuts things down. There's one pathway to getting a budget done. That the way it's been done the entire time I've been a United States Senator is in a bipartisan manner. But our president does not care about bipartisanship. Our president doesn't care about the independence of agencies he's attacking. He doesn't care about the independence of the Justice Department if he's targeting his political enemies like my colleague Adam Schiff. This is a president that does not have the morals necessary to reach across the aisle and work within the bounds of our Constitution. Yeah. He is reckless and he's hurting Americans. And I'm not giving away my vote for a budget that's going to hurt New Jerseyans or anybody in our nation.
Now, this comes as well on the same week and a half. What's MAGA Mike focused on? Covering up the Epstein files for Donald Trump. MAGA Mike saying, oh, that wasn't Donald Trump's signature on the birthday card. That was the deep state planting the signature in a birthday book of Jeffrey Epstein's back in 2003, when Jeffrey Epstein turned 50, when Donald Trump was still a Democrat, knowing that Donald Trump would become a Republican, run for president one day, say he was going to release the Epstein files, then conceal it because he found out his name was all over it, which, we knew his name would be all over it. And that's just the way the deep state act. So who's this forger out there with apparently prophetic visions? There's this great just think about it, what the thesis is, that there's this great forger who can see into the future, who dropped Donald Trump's fake birthday card in Epstein's birthday book with cryptic messages like Enigma and our secrets never age. One day it would appear. So there's just someone who's forging the presidency. You don't want to invest. You don't want to do oversight on that, MAGA Mike? No. MAGA, let me tell you. You see, Donald Trump was an informant. No, he's not an informant, MAGA Mike. MAGA Mike gets a call from the White House. He's not an informant. Shut up, MAGA Mike. Okay, I didn't mean he was an informant. I meant like he was the good guy, like he turned Epstein, and I didn't mean to use the word informant. We don't all misspeak, and you don't just go around saying the word informant and saying my mom was an informant, my dad was an informant, my best buddy was an informant. You don't just randomly misspeak like that all the time. But if Donald Trump was the hero who turned Epstein over, why would he be afraid that his name is in there in a bad way? Oh, when we saw that birthday book, he was referenced as well, as Donald Trump was paying for they were mocking a young woman apparently in that birthday book as well. His friend, one of Donald Trump's friends, posted this photo with Jeffrey Epstein holding a check saying that Donald Trump was buying a fully depreciated woman from Jeffrey Epstein. disgustingly acting like, oh, well, Jeffrey Epstein passed her after Epstein, then Donald Trump, a fully depreciated woman. That's how they talked about it. While he was at Mar-a-Lago, he held it up. Oh, but Donald Trump was the good guy, the hero, MAGA Mike. Watch what MAGA Mike said before and after. Play this clip.
He's not saying that what Epstein did is a hoax. It's a terrible, unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down. The president knows and has great sympathy for the women who have suffered these unspeakable harms. It's detestable to him. He and I have spoken about this as recently as 24 hours ago.
What I was referring to in that long conversation was what the victim's attorney said. More than a decade ago, President Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, and he was one of the only prominent people, as everyone has reported, not President Trump, but everybody about him, that he was willing to help law enforcement go after this guy who's a disgusting child abuser, sex trafficker, all the allegations. That's what they heard. So the president was helpful in that. I don't know if I use the right terminology, but that's common knowledge, and everybody knows that. So this is much ado about nothing.
Was he ever asked to wear a wire or anything like that?
I have no idea. No, I'm not saying that. I have no information about that whatsoever. I was repeating what has been common knowledge for a long time. The president was helpful in trying to get Epstein, for the law enforcement to go after Epstein. That's always been my understanding. That's common knowledge. It's the public's understanding. I was not breaking news there.
Okay, MAGA Mike. Okay. Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.